How are people even affording life these days? Well, you're counting every penny for rent, food, and electricity. Others are out traveling the world, dining at fancy restaurants, wearing designer clothes, checking in from Europe, and some are even buying houses. They're smiling wide. They look like they've got it all figured out. And you? You're staring at your credit card bill, heart pounding faster at the end of every month. If you've ever felt like you're falling behind financially, you're not alone. The truth is, this feeling of financial failure isn't just yours. It's something millions around the world quietly carry. And here's the shocking part. It's not really about how much money you make.
According to a recent survey, 55% of millennials in the U.S., those born between 1981 and 1996, are living paycheck to paycheck. That means they're earning just enough to get by each month. No savings, no financial cushion. One unexpected expense, and it's enough to throw everything into chaos or push them into debt. And when you zoom out and look at the big picture, it's even worse. Household debt in the U.S. has hit a record $18.2 trillion. Just in the past 3 months, it jumped another $170 billion. Credit card debt alone, the most tempting and the hardest to escape, has now crossed $1.3 trillion. And with average credit card interest rates now over 24%, every late payment is like getting hit with a financial punishment you didn't see coming. But what makes this all feel suffocating and mentally exhausting is the massive gap between reality and what we see online. Most people are barely holding it together financially, yet the illusion that everyone's doing just fine is stronger than ever. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're full of perfect lives. Friends, acquaintances, even total strangers posting about vacations, luxury meals, investments, new homes, and meanwhile you're wondering, why am I still stressing about how to afford lunch tomorrow? And that's the real problem. We're comparing our real, messy lives to someone else's highlight reel. You feel like you're falling behind, like you failed, but chances are the very people you're comparing yourself to are drowning in debt and pressure too.
It's time we expose one of the biggest lies that's quietly destroying the financial lives of millions. That lie is social media. It might sound simple, but social media is creating a dangerously powerful illusion. The illusion that everyone is doing just fine, that everyone is rich, successful, and living the dream. But the reality couldn't be further from the truth. As of January 2025, over 5 billion people are using social media every day. And more than half of them check their accounts 30+ times a week. It's no longer just a form of entertainment. It's reshaping the way we view our own lives, especially our finances. Did you know that 41% of millennials admit to buying things just to keep up with others online? And nearly 40% have gone into debt because of this pressure. This isn't just random behavior. It has a name: financial FOMO, the fear of missing out financially. Roughly 69% of millennials say they experience this regularly just from seeing what others post: vacations, new cars, homes, investments, and instantly they feel like they're behind. But here's where it gets even more dangerous: something called money dysmorphia. It's when your view of your own finances becomes distorted. You could be saving money, investing, living debt-free, but the moment you scroll past someone flashing luxury on your feed, you suddenly feel poor. According to surveys, 43% of Gen Z and 41% of millennials experience this. And don't think TikTok is just a place for fun videos. The truth is, over 50% of TikTok users say they've bought something after seeing a creator promote it. In fact, younger generations are 34% more likely to buy from influencers on TikTok than from traditional ads. Every scroll brings you one step closer to an impulsive purchase. And when asked later, 25% of those buyers say they regret the purchase. Half of them admit they've spent at least $100 on things they didn't need just because of the social media effect. But here's what you need to remember. What you see online isn't real. Most of the glamorous photos and viral videos you see, they're staged, filtered, curated. No one posts their credit card bills. No one shows their stress at the end of the month. No one talks about missed payments or struggling to make rent. So if you've been feeling tired, behind, or financially insecure because of what you see online, you're not wrong. You're just comparing your real life to someone else's carefully crafted highlight reel.
Beyond the pressure of social media, there's another harsh financial reality that's weighing us down every single day:
Debt and the rising cost of borrowing. As of now, total household debt in the U.S. has reached a staggering $18.2 trillion, a number unlike anything we've seen before. Credit card debt alone has surpassed $1.3 trillion, and the average interest rate is now over 24%. What does that mean in real life? If you buy something for $1,000 and only make the minimum payments each month, you could be paying it off for years and end up paying over $1,400 in total. The issue isn't just reckless spending, it's how we're funding our lifestyle, through debt. The buy now, pay later industry has exploded. In 2021, it was worth $2 billion. By 2024, that number skyrocketed to $46 billion. Even worse, 41% of BNPL users have missed at least one payment. And they're not just using it for luxury items, they're financing groceries, gas, and even concert tickets. Meanwhile, interest rates on car loans now range from 7.5% to 9%. Home mortgage rates are hovering between 6% and 7%, double what they were just a few years ago. To put it into perspective, if you buy a $500,000 home today, just the increase in interest could cost you an extra $1,200 per month, even if the home price stayed exactly the same.
If you've ever thought, maybe I'm just bad with money, that's why I still can't afford a house, let me tell you something. The problem isn't you. The problem is the entire market has changed. Back in the 1990s, the average age of a first-time homebuyer was 28. Today, it's 38. That's a full decade lost, while the dream of owning your first home keeps slipping further away. And it's not just you. Only 24% of homebuyers today are first-timers, the lowest percentage in over 40 years. That means fewer and fewer people are even getting a chance to step into the market. So why is it so hard now? First, starting home prices in many U.S. cities have crossed $1 million, and the number of cities with million-dollar homes has tripled in just 5 years. It's not just San Francisco or New York anymore. Even cities that used to be considered affordable, like Austin, Boise, or Salt Lake City, have become out of reach. Second, the average down payment to buy a home is now over $54,000, a massive number for most people, especially when you're already battling inflation and sky-high living expenses. But here's what makes it even worse. You're not just competing with other families, you're competing with Wall Street. Studies show that institutional investors now own up to 10% of all single-family homes in the U.S., and in cities like Atlanta or Jacksonville, that number hits 25%, meaning 1 out of every 4 homes isn't even meant for someone to live in, it's an investment. Meanwhile, home prices have increased nearly 500% in the past 40 years, but real incomes? They've barely moved. So even if you're budgeting right, avoiding debt, saving consistently, you still can't keep up. And if buying isn't an option, your only choice is to rent. But rent isn't much better. The average rent in the U.S. is now over $2,000 a month. In California, a 1-bedroom apartment can cost you $2,400 a month. And here's the kicker. You might be paying rent to live in a home owned by one of those same investment firms. So if you've done everything right, worked hard, saved money, lived within your means, and still can't buy a house, you are not the problem. The rules have changed, the math has changed, but society's expectations haven't. And that's why so many people today feel like failures, when in reality, they're just playing a game where the rules are no longer fair.
After all this heavy information, there's one thing I want to tell you, and it might just be the most important message in this entire video. You might not be as far behind as you think. I know that feeling, looking around and seeing everyone else seemingly succeed while you feel like you're stuck in place. But consider this. If 7 out of 10 people say they feel financially behind, then maybe this isn't the exception anymore. Maybe it's the new normal. And if everyone's trying to catch up, maybe success doesn't come from running faster than others, but from knowing when to stop running and step off the hamster wheel. You don't have to live by someone else's timeline. You don't need to own a house, drive a luxury car, invest in stocks, or travel to Europe just to keep up. What you do need is to look at your own real numbers, not someone else's carefully curated highlights on social media. And when you come back to yourself, you'll realize the key isn't luck. It isn't privilege. It's in the simple, consistent financial habits that most people ignore. It sounds basic, but this is how you move further than 90% of others. Live below your means. It's one of the most powerful, yet least taught skills. So many people spend money just to impress. A shiny car, the newest phone, designer clothes, seeking approval, praise, or to fit in. But the cost? Stress, debt, lost freedom. True freedom comes from being in control of your money, not from how much you make, but from knowing how much you actually need to live in peace. When you live below your means, you create space for saving, for investing, for breathing. And don't think you have to save a lot for it to matter. Start small, but stay consistent. Even saving $20 or $40 a month may not seem like much, but it builds discipline, and discipline beats luck every single time. Then add in simple investing. Just a little each month into index funds or ETFs. You don't need to be a stock-picking genius. You just need to stay consistent and let time do the heavy lifting. And to do all of this, there's one thing you absolutely need: basic financial understanding. Things like compound interest, cash flow, budgeting, debt, and simple investing. These aren't complicated, but they're crucial. Because once you understand how money works, money stops controlling you, and you start controlling it. Did you know that 56% of Americans don't even have $1,000 saved for an emergency? So if you have a small emergency fund, even just a few $100s, you're already ahead of half the population. And if you don't have a lot of money right now, don't worry. Your greatest advantage might not be money. It might be your curiosity to learn, your focus to take action, and your time to let your efforts grow.
I want to share with you one of the most important financial lessons I've ever learned, not from a book, not from the market, but from personal experience. We often believe that happiness comes from having something, a dream car, a first home, a luxury vacation. But one day, you realize the deepest kind of happiness doesn't come from having. It comes from no longer needing. That peace, that freedom from the feeling of, I have to have this. That's real happiness. Here's a little trick I use, and to me, it's worth more than gold. Whenever I want to buy something, I start saving for it. But once I have enough money, I don't rush to buy it. Instead, I pause. I look at the money and say to myself, I could buy it, and then I don't. Instead, I invest that money into my future, into my freedom. And you know what? That simple moment where I know I could buy it, but I choose not to, gives me a kind of quiet confidence and peace that no purchase ever has. I'm not driven by desire. I'm in control. Because I've come to understand, a brand new phone might make you happy for a few days, but that same money, if invested and left alone for 10 or 20 years, can give you something much bigger: freedom. Freedom from debt. Freedom to quit your job if you need to. Freedom to take care of your loved ones when life happens. And if you're watching this video right now, I believe you're already investing in yourself, not with money, but with your time, your attention, your willingness to learn. That matters more than you realize. Maybe you don't have much money yet. Maybe you haven't started investing, don't own a home, don't have a retirement fund. But the fact that you're here, listening, reflecting on your financial life, that puts you ahead of millions of others. Because while most people are chasing illusions, you're waking up. You're not falling behind. You're learning. And knowledge, just like compound interest, grows over time. The earlier you start, the greater the reward. So remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay consistent with the basics and let time do the rest. One small savings deposit today, one less impulsive purchase, one ETF investment each month, one financial video you choose to watch instead of mindless scrolling. Each one adds up, not just to financial change, but to inner peace. So the next time you see something you really want to buy, try this. Save up for it. Then when you have the money, look at your account and say to yourself, I could buy this, and then choose not to. That's not a sacrifice. That's you choosing freedom. If what I've shared today helped you feel a little lighter, a little less overwhelmed, or gave you a clearer direction with your finances, then please share this video with someone else who might need to hear it too. Maybe they're feeling lost. Maybe they're trying hard, but aren't sure if they're on the right path. Remember this: you're not falling behind. You're learning. You're growing. You're investing in yourself. And every small step you take today will compound into something powerful tomorrow: your freedom. This isn't just a financial video. It's a reminder. You have what it takes to overcome this. So take action. Start now.
because you deserve a life of peace, control, and confidence.